Welcome, everyone, to 250 Years of Freedom. This is Episode 9, 1784 to 1787, A New Constitution. He held his perspiring brow between his fingers, pressing his temples, hoping to extrude the stress pounding in his head. The hot room seemed to burn not only with the heat of summer, but the heat of fiery disagreement. Washington sat atop a tall wooden chair in Independence Hall, Philadelphia, presiding over the Constitutional Convention, where delegates had been shouting over each other now for weeks.
You have blood on your hands.
And I tell you, Mr. Dickinson...
He had faced down cannons and bayonets and was now unsure which was the greater challenge. Differences in opinion turned into personal insults. Every passing minute seemed to more distance the young nation from a unifying constitution. As angry voices churned, a man who sat silently for weeks finally stood up. Soon, each eye was upon him. A calm swept through the hall, waiting for his wisdom. A slight smile curved Washington's mouth as his friend Benjamin Franklin stood. His silence had been deafening, but his words would now bind each man's heart. The guns had been quieted, but the peace was uneasy. By 1784, victory had given birth to confusion. The 13 states, once united in defiance, now drifted like ships without a rudder. The Articles of Confederation, America's first frame of government, were too weak to hold the young republic together. Trade faltered, debts mounted, and even the army went unpaid. Washington, watching from Mount Vernon, feared that the revolution might unravel from within. "We are fast verging to anarchy and confusion," he wrote. The nation that had defeated an empire was in danger of defeating itself. The Articles left Congress powerless to tax, powerless to regulate commerce, and powerless to enforce its own laws. Each state coined its own money and pursued its own interests. In Massachusetts, Shays' Rebellion erupted. Farmers, veterans of the Revolution, protesting, crushing debt and taxation. Armed conflict flared again on American soil. It became clear liberty without order would perish. Something stronger, something enduring had to be built. In 1786, delegates gathered at Annapolis, but too few attended to act. Yet from that small meeting came a bold call, a convention in Philadelphia to render the Constitution of the federal government adequate to the exigencies of the Union. So, in the summer of 1787, 55 men from 12 states met in the Pennsylvania State House. They were scholars and soldiers, farmers and lawyers, diverse in background yet unified in purpose. George Washington, reluctant but revered, was chosen to preside. James Madison came armed with notes and ideas that would form the plan for a new government. The debates were fierce: large states versus small, free states versus slave states, executive power versus liberty. After weeks without resolution, tempers had flared high enough. Benjamin Franklin rose and addressed the assembly. "I have lived, sir, a long time," Franklin began, addressing the rapt room. "And the longer I live, the more convincing proofs I see of this truth, that God governs in the affairs of men. And if a sparrow cannot fall to the ground without his notice, is it probable that an empire can rise without his aid? We have been assured, sir, in the sacred writings, that except the Lord build the house, they labor in vain that build it. I firmly believe this, and I also believe that without his concurring aid, we shall succeed in this political building no better than the builders of Babel," he continued. "I therefore beg leave to move that henceforth prayers imploring the assistance of heaven and its blessings on our deliberations be held in this assembly every morning before we proceed to business." Shouting had been replaced with prayer. Heads bowed humbly settled the storm in the room. Men began agreeing with one another, and unity quickly formed the broken pieces into a document of inspiration and promise. By September 17, 1787, after months of argument and amendment, the Constitution of the United States was signed. 7 articles, that would frame the most enduring experiment in self-government in human history. Not perfect, but alive with potential. Not divinely written, yet inspired by principles rooted in faith and reason. The framers' task was not unlike Israel's at Shechem, when Joshua gathered the tribes and renewed their covenant with God. "Choose you this day whom ye will serve," he declared, "but as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord." Joshua 24:15. Israel's covenant created a moral nation. America's Constitution sought to create a moral government. Both understood that law without conscience becomes tyranny, and freedom without order becomes chaos. Madison himself echoed that truth when he wrote, "We have stocked the whole of our political institutions upon the capacity of mankind for self-governance, to control ourselves according to the Ten Commandments of God." The founders were not all of one theology, but they shared a conviction that liberty required virtue, and virtue required obedience to God. When Washington received the completed document, he wrote, "It appears to me little short of a miracle." Franklin, too, saw providence in the final result. "When you assemble a number of men to have the advantage of their joint wisdom, you inevitably assemble with those men all their prejudices, and yet we have found agreement." The Constitution was a triumph of restraint, a covenant of balance between freedom and duty. It gave form to the spirit of 1776 and ensured that the fire of liberty would not consume itself. Franklin's plea rang familiar in the ears of the faithful who recognized King David's wise words from Psalm 127, "Except the Lord build the house, they labor in vain that build it." The builders of this new house understood that truth. They raised its walls with debate, compromise, and prayer, stones laid by human hands upon a foundation of divine principle. As we look back on that hot Philadelphia summer, we see more than parchment and signatures. We see courage tempered by humility, conviction guided by conscience, and the quiet trust that providence was not finished with this nation. The Constitution became America's covenant with itself, a promise to pursue justice, liberty, and peace under law. Let us honor that promise more than ever, recommitting to preserving the ideals won on battlefields and battles of thought. The ink will maintain its power if we maintain our integrity. Pray for our nation right now. Evil is corrosive and will topple that which is precious if we stand by. Remember always, blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. Psalm 33:12. May we guard this blessing as our founders did, through faith, reason, and a reverent gratitude that freedom is both gift and responsibility. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in 1788.